let's head on over here and pop this cargo drone onto autopilot and see if it smashes into a million pieces. G'day people, this is Monster Dad. Welcome back to this single player Space Engineers Survival. Captain Dad's Revenge, the Pilgrim's Revenge. Now last week we were just putting together our cargo drone. We set up the waypoints for it, and today what I want to do is get the timer sorted, program it and test this little beauty. So we should actually be able to do that from the chair here. I haven't done anything since I logged off last, exactly the same position as we were, so let's get this done. Remote, what do we call it? ID Cargo 01. Sounds like a good enough name, doesn't it? So let's go into the remote. So the waypoints we'd set up was, yep, connector approach through here, 1, 2, 3, yeah. Speed limit 30. Do you know what? I'm going to reduce that to 20 because when it is full of ice, it's going to be pretty heavy. I'm just a bit worried that it will hit the connector at this side and smash something. Excuse me. Now I did say put it on circle mode, but I was wrong. These different modes, one way, fairly self-explanatory. It will follow the route, the waypoints, get to the other end and just stop. Circle, what it will do is follow the routes, get to this end, loop back to number 1, then go around that route again. What we want it to do is follow the route, do what it needs to do at this end, and then go the opposite way back so that it has a safe approach between the two connectors. So what we want is patrol mode as the flight mode, and that's the mode that does that, the back and forward along the waypoints. So yeah, just clarify that one because I got that wrong last time. Yep, so let's set up some actions. So when we get to the connector, what I need it to do is start timer 1, and we'll set up time 1 in a moment. What I also want it to do is turn off the thrusters, and the reason for that is that when I seem to recall when I tested it last time, if there's no, it needs time to connect to the connector, and if you just have it going between the waypoints, it gets to the waypoint and immediately tries to fly away again, and it quite often it'll miss the connection. So what we want to do is get to the waypoint, which is right over the connector, and then the engine's off until it's ready to go again. So I think that's all that needs to happen on that one. Yeah, should be fine. So time block 1, I'm going to put a delay of 1.5 seconds just to give the cargo bot time to settle on the connector before it engages the connectors. And then what I'll do is set up the actions for that one. That one is going to start timer 2, and we'll set up timer 2 in a moment. It is going to switch off the autopilot, and lock the connector, and that should be all hunky-dory, good to go. At time bot 2, I want to give it about 15 seconds on the connector, fully connected on each end. That will hopefully give you enough time to empty the cargo box at this end and fill the cargo box at the other end. So the actions for this one will be to switch the autopilot back on so that it will start flying again. Disconnect the connector and switch on the thrusters. Let's just go through that to make sure we got our logic correct. So the remote control, so it'll get to this waypoint and the actions will happen is timer block 1 will be started and the engines will be switched off. And I'm wondering whether I should switch the autopilot off at this one as well. No, let's leave it as it is. See if it works. So in time block 1 is engaged, and the action on that one is to start timer block 2, and there's a 15-second delay before timer block carries out its actions. The autopilot switched off so that it doesn't try and fly off again, and the connector is connected and locked, which should start the transfer of goods. And then timer block 2, after, I'm sure I typed 15. Okay, we'll go with 14. It doesn't seem to like 15. So time block 2 will switch on the autopilot, unlock the connector and switch on the engines. And then with the engines on and the autopilot on and the connector unlocked, the bot should continue on its merry way back to the next connector. So what we need to do now, go to remote and do the same thing at the other end. So when it gets to the drill, we want it to start timer block 1. And we don't need to set up the timer blocks anymore, they're already set. And switch off thrusters. And then timer block 1, timer block 2, they're already set up. So we shouldn't need to do anything else with that. So yeah, that's fine there. Oops. Yeah. So what we need to do is go in. There's one thing that I failed to do. Just here, we set the waypoint at this connector here, but I didn't put the sorter here. There needs to be a sorter here, pointing downwards, to make sure that it drains the cargo bot when it lands. Now it should drain through to our goods in system anyway, but what I want to do, I'm going to do that just to ensure that it happens. So what I will have to do is lower this one, replace that with a conveyor sorter, and then put this connector back in exactly the same spot. That way we don't have to change the waypoint. So let's take that off and then put our, let's get rid of all this rubbish. So we need our conveyor sorter, connector and conveyor block. So let's get back to the right colour again. I think we did these in white, didn't we? So that one, that's now where the conveyor block goes. The conveyor sorter now goes there, and the connector goes back there, which is exactly the same place it was in, so the waypoint shouldn't change. All we've done is lower Chewie's connector. Let's get these welded up. Okay, so we'll set this connector to whitelist ice. So the only thing coming through this one is the ice that we'll collect from the ice drill. Drain all, it's on. So that one's that's that one set up. Now what I do need to do is set up the connector. Let's fly over there because we want to follow the cargo drone, don't we? Make sure it works. So we need to set. Oh, did I put that connector in the right way around? I need to go and check. So this connector, I'm not sure. I can't remember whether we set this one up or not. No, we didn't. So that should whitelist ice also. Drain all. That way, when the cargo bot lands on this connector above it, it will fill with ice. I need to go back over it. I can't remember whether I put that conveyor sorter the correct way up. Oh, fiddlesticks. That connector's probably full of ice now. This is the wrong way round. Let's just turn it off for a moment. Oh, there was no ice in the system. Thank goodness for that. Good job I checked that. Yeah, that sorter should be facing that way because it's going to drain the cargo bot, not fill it up. Let's fix these up again. Set this one up again. So drain all, whitelist, ice, boom, done. Okay, now that's the conveyor sorter set up. Let's head on over here and pop this cargo drone onto autopilot and see if it smashes into a million pieces. I should probably take a quick save, shouldn't I? Let's save and then save as on F. Boom. Okay, that's the save locked in. Let's do this. Let's do it. Terminal, remote control, autopilot. Done. Right. Is it coming to this one first? Or is it going to the other one first? Looks like it's heading back to the base first. Yeah, because it's climbing up the list of waypoints now rather than down the list of waypoints. Okay, let's head over there and wait for it. I'm sure we'll be able to beat it there. I mean, it's not going to empty anything this time because there's no ice in it, but that's not what we're trying to do at the moment. We're just trying to prove the concept. Next episode, I would really like to take out that bunker and build the memorial. Okay, I'll cut it here till the drone reaches us, and then I'll get back to you. Later. Okay, welcome back everyone. Alright, we're getting a bit close now. I've turned off all the markers so we can get a better, clearer view of this coming in. It's just there. I think you can probably see it. I know that the video always comes out a little bit darker than it is on my screen, so hopefully you can see that okay. We're doing this at night time, unfortunately, but so it should be just approaching the approach number 2 now, which I think was about 30 meters above, and it should come down to approach 1, which was about between 5 and 10 meters down, which hopefully should bleed off its speed, ready for impact. And when it lands on here, what we should see are the engines disengage, or the thrusters I should say, and then the connector connect. Okay, so we're connected. That should last for 14 seconds as timer block kicks in, and then we should see the engines reignite. There we go. So successful so far. So let's head over to the ice drill, and this time we should see it land and actually fill with ice. Welcome back. Alright, it's just coming in for approach now. What I'm also doing is I'm resetting these pistons to the beginning so that we can start the drilling process from the beginning once we're happy that the drone's working okay. So, okay. It's on its way down. So again, what we should see, it should just get to that waypoint, switch off its thrusters, and then the connector should connect for about 14 or 15 seconds, and then everything should happen again. Thrusters reignite, and then off on its route. Now the question, will it, if it works and fills with ice, how will it land over there when it's actually full of ice? A bit wobbly, isn't it? Is it going to land on me and kill me? Okay, it's connected. Let's have a look. Inventory. There's ice passing through the system. Yep. Yeah, 91,000 units into the cargo and 31,000 into the connector of the drone. Cool beans. So far so good, it's working. The question is, can it land okay with that much weight in it, or do I need more thrusters? Let's just go in and pistons are at 0. Let's switch those off now. And set them back to 0.1 speed, ready for the system to go again. And of course the other question is, will it land okay when it's actually spinning? Do you know what? We should test that, shouldn't we? So while that's heading back there, let's set this system off again. I have to remind myself how I set this up again. So the rotor needs to be permanently in movement. So let's unlock that. And we had the velocity at 0.4. That's great. So we'll put that on. We'll start moving. We want ice drill 01. Let's take control of that and put the drills on. So drills are going, rotor's going, it's all wobbling frantically. Let's set the timers off and let this one run. So time block 1, start. We should start seeing the pistons extend for 10 seconds, which will be 1 meter each. So the drills will drop by 2 meters in total, which they have. That's stopped. Now time block 3 is in motion, which is a 3-minute timer to make sure it rotates properly. Okay, good. So that will just run continually now. Let's head over and see if we can still beat our drone back. Let's see what happens when it is full of ice. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Oh, a few sparks when it landed, wasn't there? But then with the bobs on as well, it will, if there is a little bit of damage, it should repair. Now, question is, inventory, ice. Yeah, there is definitely a bunch of ice in there now, so it's delivered. The question is, did it deliver all of it? So I suppose what I can do is quickly access for its out of range terminal. Remote control off. Let's turn the autopilot off and let's just check its inventory. So yes, it completely emptied the ice from its inventory. So let's turn autopilot back on and let it continue on its route. And this time we'll head over, and this is the final check to make sure it can land safely on a rotating platform. So I'll get back to you shortly, just before it lands. And I say lands and not crashes. You'll note that I use the word land, not crash. Right, see you in a moment. Later. Hey, welcome back. I just thought for a moment I'll just talk to you about a couple of things whilst this is on its way around. This is episode 10, so time to put a mod list out. Now, I haven't bothered this time because there have been no changes. Apart from I've added this little beauty, paint gun. I will show you how this works at some point, but basically this allows you have to make paint chemicals using gravel. But with this in hand, what you can do is you can get to those hard to get areas to paint. There's probably no examples of that on here, but quite often if you in the corners of a building, when you're trying to paint the corner block, you can't use the normal paint system built into the game because the other blocks around it are in the way and you can't get to it. But with this paint gun you can actually get to really small areas, small places in between blocks to actually paint blocks. And it is brilliant. Again, it's a tiny little mod, but it adds a really valuable element to the game. Well worth getting. And the other little announcement is that over the next couple of weeks I'll probably reduce into about one video a week. I've got family coming over from the UK visiting for 2 or 3 weeks, so time to record and edit will be a little bit limited, so the episodes will probably fall off to around one a week for the next few weeks, and then should be back to normal after that. Alright, here we go. Can it land on this rotating platform? I mean, I've had it work before, but game mechanics, physics have been updated since I last had this working, so hopefully it will still work. I mean, in theory it should work because the connector is only rotating on the spot. It's not actually moving side to side or anything like that, so the waypoint remains exactly the same. The question is, can it engage the connector quickly enough before the movement of the rotation dislodges the cargo drone? And I guess this is where we find out. I'm going to take a quick save. Right, here we go. The moment of final truth, the final test. Felt a little bit dodgy, didn't it? Before it flies off, I want to just see how... Oh no, it's fairly straight on, isn't it? You know what, I think it's fine. Did it cause any damage to this? No, no damage at all. Okay. I think we can call that a successful test. Woohoo! Yep, I think we'll give ourselves a pat on the back and say job done. Now I will stop this drone at some point because once I've put the cladding on it and decorated it and given it the company colours, I'll take a blueprint of it. That way, once we get our drone factory in operation, which will be in that hole over there, we'll be able to produce them more efficiently and easier. We'll still need to manually set waypoints, still need to manually set the timers, but as you can see, the programming of the timers is fairly straightforward on the drones, but setting the waypoints, bit of a pain. I mean, we probably don't need so many. I've probably been a bit over cautious with the waypoints on this one, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, I think it's good. We are good. It is delivering ice successfully, and I'm pleased. Yes, I am pleased. Yes, I am. Tell you what we'll do, we'll just let it land one more time and then we'll call it an episode. Yeah, if you can imagine, a dozen of them pathing to and from, be very cool. In fact, do you know what? I did want to talk about one thing. I had a suggestion. I think it was from Viper. I do apologise if I got that wrong. I'll double check when I finish recording, and if I did get it wrong, I will apologise and get it right in the next episode. But what he suggested was, rather than have these two conveyor tubes here, you could actually replace those with a piston, and then you've got the element of moving this way as well, which would create way more ice capture. I was thinking about it, and it does present a few problems. It may seem like on the surface you're adding one more piston, or one more element of movement, I should say, to the contraption. Therefore, you may only need one more timer block. But unfortunately, it's way more complex than that, because the movement is in a completely different vector. The difficulties you have is, at the moment I've got it set so the drills descend 2 meter increments. Now that's probably too deep for them to drill sideways. So if these dropped by 2 meters, and then you had this piston engage and push them out, you'd probably need to push it out 5 meters, half the piston length, to get these drills out this way. The drills will probably break against the side of the ice. So you probably but you could get around that by reducing the descent increments of the pistons, well, the drills, to maybe just keep it 1 meter increments. Then they'd probably be able to drill sideways, which is fine. But the other problem you've got as well is what you want to do is push them out. They drill around and then bring them back. They drill around this one a bit deeper, then they push out this way again, drill around, go back, and so on and so forth. So to do that, you'd probably need to put at least 2 or 3 more timer blocks on that, just to be able to get it to do that. Also, you need to arrest the descent of these whilst it goes this way and drills around that way. So that probably would require doubling the timer blocks for the actual downward pistons. In addition to that, I can't remember what the physics law is called. I'm sure somebody will know it, but it's to do with the speed at the outer circumference of a circle when something's rotating. So the drills, the speed at which they're rotating here is less than the speed that they would rotate out here. Now the revolutions per minute are still 0.4 regardless of where they are, but to manage to do 4 revolutions per minute all the way out here, they would have to be travelling much faster. And again, that presents a difficulty of, can they keep up with the drilling with the increased speed, or do you then need to start thinking about reducing the rotor speed when they come out this way, which would require even more timers. So I might try it with one, but the reason I've done it like this primarily is it's a fairly simple, straightforward system that doesn't take a lot of setup. It only requires 3 timer blocks, and it still produces. I mean, I added an extra drill on this, and I think we may struggle for inventory space. And that's the other thing as well, inventory space. If you then double or triple the amount of ice you're gathering, you'd need to double or triple your cargo boxes as well, because they would never hold that much ice. I mean, as you can see by our indicator bar up here, this one is already getting on towards half full, and it's probably only at the most halfway through the descent process. And the cargo bots with this small ship, medium-sized container would never be able to empty these before they filled up. Now I'm a little bit concerned about this one filling up. It didn't before because I only had 5 drills, but I've added that extra drill and it's made a big difference to the amount of ice that it's gathering. Now I'm hoping that it won't, because what we end up doing is it'll all get wasted. If there's no cargo space for it, it'll just get wasted. Bear in mind the drills have cargo space as well, and quite a lot, so we should be okay with what we have, but you need to take that into consideration as well. So yeah, there's a lot of variables by just what seems like a very simple thing as adding a piston going that way. There are a lot of aspects to that to make it work, and I'm not saying it couldn't work. Of course it can, you know, and I may try and do that as well if I get the time to do it. But yeah, but the complexity would be much more than it is at the moment. Yeah, okay, I hope I clarified that aspect of it. So where's our cargo drone? Coming in for another landing. Yeah, cool. It's nearly there. We might as well see it land one more time on a rotating platform, make sure it doesn't fall off, and then I would say absolutely 100% confirmed, working and in order. So I'll cut to that. I'll see you in a moment. Bye. Okay, it's on its final approach now. I say final approach, shouldn't use words like final. It's on its next approach, because hopefully it won't be its final one. Yes, brilliant. Okay, I'm happy. I am happy as Larry. Right, thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this or found it useful, please press the thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. And please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I will see you guys later.